So I've been sitting outside for a little while, working with the Dremel. This is one of the pyramids. I didn't quite get to this one because the Dremel ran out of power. But I did work on 3 bracelets and a small pyramid, and it is dusty, really, really dusty. And then it ran out of power, and I'm thinking maybe I should see if I can get another battery, and then I'll have 2 batteries and get more time out of my time spent out here. But look at how nice it's filled in. And we're having clear skies. We had a lot of chemtrails yesterday, but so far we've got a clear sky. I think it's about 11 o'clock in the morning on a Sunday, and the day after the 4th of July, July 5th, this really sweet lady that I've known for 10 years called me, and she said, I need a friend. So she has been having pain in her hip, and she couldn't hardly get up to go to the bathroom, and she was mostly sitting in her wheelchair. And I think she's 93. So she does have her son who lives in the house with her, but he's 61, and he's not a caregiver, and he didn't really even want to live with her, and I don't know, it's kind of a bad story. But so anyway, I went over there and I said we have to call 911, and she agreed with me. So then he came into the picture and he said, well, I told her we had to do 911, and she said no, she didn't want to do it. So anyway, we went to the emergency room in an ambulance, and she was in a lot of pain, and she was screaming, and we sat in the emergency room hallway for 7 hours. They didn't even look at us for the first 2 hours, but there was a lot of really emergency things, people coming in bleeding and all kinds of crazy stuff. So then finally, after she told her story several times about what was going on with her, she got some x-rays. And then we sat for another 3 hours until the x-rays were looked at. And I guess there were just all kinds of crazy emergencies going on. We were pretty low priority, and neither one of us had had any food since breakfast because I picked her up at 11. And so we were pretty exhausted, and what they found out is that her spine is collapsing, and there's nothing they can do about it. She's going to have to go to the pain clinic and get micro injections and stuff like that. So I did get her son to come and pick her up so that I could get home and feed my cat and have something to eat, and you know, I was just really exhausted, and she was really exhausted and everything. So then the next day on Friday, I was moved by some very strong intuition. There was some divine intervention going on. I went over to a place where my dad had stayed for a week. It's assisted living, and it's called the Heritage Inn. It's very small. There's only 40 rooms, and he had been recommended there to go there by his geriatric doctor so that I could have a break. Well, it's $1,500 a week, and I got my brother to pay for it, which was like pulling teeth. But so anyway, I went over there in the morning, and you know, when I walked in, I said, you know, my dad stayed here, and it's really a wonderful place, and I was wondering, do you have any rooms available? And the woman said, oh man, we just had one open up. So she got some paperwork, and she got the woman who does the intakes and stuff come, and then we went and we sat and you know, filled out some paperwork, and her son from California was going to be coming in, and he handles all of her affairs, takes care of her taxes and all that kind of stuff. But I mean, he's all the way on the other coast, you know. And usually he only comes out once a year. And so we had talked the night before. You know, about 11 o'clock he called me, and he'd been talking to his mom, and he said that his brother was in the room and she couldn't talk freely, so he called me, and he just, you know, kept thanking me for everything I'd done. And she said that he said they had talked about assisted living, and she was like, no, I'm not going to assisted living. And but now that everything's kind of shifted and she can't take care of herself, she can't even walk around the house anymore, I filled out as much paperwork as I could, and gave them a check that they weren't going to cash, and so that when her son comes, he can finish the paperwork and she can move in by the end of this next week. So, I mean, this is just amazing. So she has 3 boys, and the middle one lives in North Carolina, and he came up on Saturday, yesterday. And I went over to see him and sort of, you know, show her the brochure and tell her what was going on. Well, she was pretty upset, and she said, well, what's going to happen to my house? You know, and she was going on, and you know, and so I knew she was going to have that reaction. But by the time I left, her son, who has a lot of sense, the one who drove up from North Carolina, was very grateful for what was going on, because he was at his wit's end about what to do. And not knowing this town and what's available, he was thinking that he was going to move her down to North Carolina. Well, it's really hard to move an older person, I mean, even across town. So to move her all the way down there, or to California, would have just been a nightmare, you know. And then they still have the house to deal with, and it's loaded to the gills. I mean, I'm glad I don't have to deal with it. So this afternoon, her 2 sons and me and her are going over, and we're going to look at it. She's going to see her room, she's going to meet her roommate, and I think by that time she's going to be settled down enough that she knows this is going to be the best thing. So anyway, that's what I've been up to. And then I went out to a play last night with my sister, but we left at intermission because it was not very interesting. Well, I'm going to cut off for now. Bye.